If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more chilling tales. Got a scary story of your own? Email me. The address is in the description. And don't forget to drop a comment below telling me what you thought of this one. Now, let's begin. The cool night breeze brushed against my face. I was staring out the car window at the deserted road. Somewhere in the distance, the shadows of the forest trees danced, and the faint outline of tall mountains stretched across the sky. This wasn't a place I wanted to be. I'm Alex, just an ordinary guy living a regular life. I work at a software company, and I came to this remote cabin far from the city's chaos to spend a few days. My friend Mark, who's crazy about mountain biking, found this place for me. He said it'd be the perfect spot to find some peace and focus on my new coding project. Back in the city, my life was hectic. Work, meetings, and then social events. I desperately needed a break. I thought this place would give me some calm, but as soon as I got here, I felt this weird unease. The cabin was old, with wooden walls and an ancient fireplace. For miles around, there wasn't another house in sight. That first night, I lit a fire in the fireplace and settled in to read my book. Outside, the wind was howling and I could hear the trees rustling against each other. Suddenly, I heard a faint creak from outside the cabin. I closed my book and listened closely. Silence fell. I figured it was probably just some animal. I locked the door and went to bed, but sleep was miles away. Every little sound echoed in my ears. The creaking of the old wooden roof, the whistling wind, and then a faint noise like someone laughing outside. It was a soft, muffled laugh that sent chills down my spine. The next morning, I made breakfast and decided to step outside. I looked around. Near the cabin door, in the wet mud, there were footprints. They didn't look human. They looked like animal paws, but they were huge. And they circled the cabin, like something had been standing by the door. I was stunned. I called Mark. "Dude, something weird's going on here. I found some strange tracks outside the cabin." Mark laughed. "Don't stress, Alex, it's a forest. There are all kinds of animals out there. Maybe a bear." "A bear? Here?" I asked. "Yeah, could be. Old cabins like that, wild animals come around, just be careful." Mark's words calmed me a bit, but there was still this strange knot in my stomach. I spent the day inside the cabin trying to work on my project, but my eyes kept drifting to the window. Every rustling leaf, every snapping twig made me look outside. By evening, I made dinner and double-checked the doors and windows. Night fell, and darkness swallowed everything. I was sitting by the fireplace when I heard that laugh again. This time, it was clearer, like it was right outside. My body froze. I jumped up and stared at the door. The laughter stopped. I quietly turned off the room's lights and peeked through the window curtains. The darkness hid everything. But then, at the edge of the forest, among the tree shadows, I saw a figure. It was tall, its movements unnatural. It stood there for a moment, then slowly disappeared into the trees. My breath caught in my throat. That wasn't an animal. It was something else. My hands were shaking, and I felt a deep chill. I grabbed my phone and texted Mark. "I saw something, man. Something really weird." But the signal was weak, and the message didn't send. I stayed up all night. Every rustle, every sound made me jump. I opened my laptop and started reading about strange creatures in the forest. I found stories, local legends, and folklore about odd beings in this area. Some said they were the spirits of old hunters. Others claimed they were creatures that stayed away from humans. Reading all this only made my fear worse. I didn't know what to believe, but what I'd seen was real. At dawn, I packed my stuff. I wasn't staying another second. I grabbed my bag and stepped out of the cabin. Outside in the mud, those huge paw prints from the night before were still there, but this time, they led from the cabin door into the forest, and among them were human footprints, small ones, like a child's. My eyes widened. A child's footprints? How could a kid be out here in the middle of the forest? My mind was spinning. I glanced around, feeling like someone was watching me. I caught a faint movement behind the trees. I rushed to my car and started it. I didn't look back. I just wanted to get out of there as fast as I could. I sped toward the city, my mind stuck on those paw prints, the human footprints, and that figure I'd seen in the dark. I got back to my apartment. All day, I felt restless. I called Mark right away and told him everything. What do you think it was, Alex? Mark's voice was worried, something I'd never heard before. I took a deep breath. I don't know, Mark, but what I saw was real. A few days later, Mark called me. His voice was trembling, something I'd never heard from him. Alex, you remember that old wooden cabin? Yeah, why? My heart pounded. The police found something this morning, not far from there. An old wooden doll, like the kind kids used to play with long ago, and in the mud, there were tracks, just like the ones you described. I hung up the phone. A chill ran through me. Those tracks, that laughter, that doll. Was it just a child's, or was it something else? I don't know, and maybe I never will. But after that day, I never looked back. Even now, at night, when I'm alone, I hear a faint, muffled laugh from somewhere far away. It makes me wonder what was hiding in that forest, and if it's still following me. I remember that day clearly, when my life took a turn. It wasn't some dramatic event or a horrific accident. It was a collection of little things that slowly carved a void inside me, and I kept sinking deeper into it. I grew up in a regular neighborhood in a mid-sized town. My name's Adam. My life was pretty straightforward. Graduated high school, enrolled in a local community college, and juggled a part-time job with my studies. My parents, Stephen and Karen, were hard-working, simple folks who loved me deeply and always tried to give me the best life possible in college. I became friends with a guy named Jake. Jake was the complete opposite of me. He was free-spirited, skipped classes regularly, and had a huge circle of friends. At first, I really liked his carefree vibe. I started spending more time with him, and slowly, I realized I was chasing a kind of excitement in my life that I found in Jake's company around. That time, I met Clara. She was in my college classes, super smart and beautiful. We were in the same study group, and little by little, we got close. Clara was practical, and I loved that about her. She always pointed me in the right direction and encouraged me to chase my dreams. We dreamed up a future together. Jake wasn't too thrilled about Clara. He'd often say negative things about her and tell me to focus on my career, not relationships. Relationships are just a waste of time, Adam, he'd say, especially when you're trying to make something of yourself. At first, I brushed off his comments. I thought he was just joking, but his words started sinking into my head, especially after we graduated and were hunting for jobs. The competition was brutal, and after getting rejection after rejection, I started feeling hopeless. Jake was my rock during that time. He'd take me to parties, tell me, "Live life, don't stress." I landed a marketing job at a small company. It wasn't the dream job I'd hoped for, but it was a start. Clara was thrilled. She congratulated me and kept dreaming about our future together. But Jake's attitude got more and more negative. He started criticizing me constantly. "Have you ever thought you could do way better than this?" he'd say. "This job isn't for you." He even started saying weird things about Clara. "She just wants to keep you around so you stay in her shadow." I tried hard to ignore him, but every day Jake's poison seeped deeper into my mind. I started giving his words more weight than Clara's. Clara, who always pushed me toward positivity, started feeling like she was holding me back. Her words seemed boring, and I started finding flaws in everything she said one night. When Clara and I went out for dinner, I acted awful toward her. I laughed at her words and disrespected her. She was really upset. "Adam, what's wrong with you?" she asked. I snapped back. "I don't think we're meant for each other. You don't get me." That night we went our separate ways. I was heartbroken, but Jake assured me it was the right call. "You got rid of a roadblock," he said. "Now you're free." I started hating my job too. Jake convinced me I deserved way more. I got rude with my boss and eventually I got fired. My parents were so disappointed. I lied to them, saying I quit, not that I was let go. Jake's influence changed me completely. I wasn't the Adam I used to be. I criticized everything, thought I was better than everyone else. My parents were worried about me. They told me to stay away from Jake, but I didn't listen. I even started doubting them, thinking they were trying to control me. One evening, I was sitting at home, and Jake's words echoed in my head. "You're good for nothing, Adam. You've lost everything." I looked at myself in the mirror. I'd become a helpless, bitter, angry person. I'd lost it all. My job, Clara, and worst of all, my peace of mind. I called Jake and told him how I was feeling. He just laughed. "You shouldn't feel like this, it's all in your head." I saw the fake smile on his face. That's when it hit me. Jake wasn't my friend. He was just someone who felt better by dragging others down. He was miserable himself, and he'd turned me into someone like him. I hung up and cut ties with Jake. I took a hard look at my life. I saw where I stood, how I'd ruined my happiness with my own hands. I apologized to my parents. They hugged me tight. Today, I'm working a new job, slowly getting my life back on track. But Jake's words still linger somewhere in my mind. I still wonder why I believed him so much. Why did I trust someone who ruined me? Why did I let go of Clara, who truly loved me and always supported me? Thinking about it still fills me with regret. Can I ever make up for this loss? Can I ever regain the trust I've lost? Those questions still haunt me. I can still feel the unease of that night. The night everything changed. I grew up in a small town where everyone seemed to know each other, or at least it felt that way. But after that night, I learned how complicated and terrifying human relationships can be. I was in my early 20s, fully immersed in my first job. It was at a local advertising agency, and I thought I was the luckiest guy in the world. I'd always wanted to do creative work, and this was my shot. My boss, Mr. Thomas, was an experienced man, grey hair with a certain spark in his eyes that hinted he'd seen a lot in life. He was always giving me advice, not just about work, but about life too. The agency was small, with just a few of us on the team. There was Laura, the marketing manager, always full of energy. Her smile was charming, her enthusiasm contagious. Then there was Ben, the graphic designer, quiet, always lost in his work. His design skills were incredible, but he barely talked. And finally, Sarah, our office assistant. Sarah was kind and cheerful, always ready to help. Her jokes often made us laugh on exhausting days. We were like a little family. After work, we'd often hang out, sometimes ordering pizza, sometimes hitting a nearby coffee shop. Laura and I became especially close. She was smart, attractive, and I loved spending time with her. She guided me at work and always pushed me to think beyond my limits. Mr. Thomas assigned us a huge project, a new campaign for a local retail chain. It was a big deal for all of us, especially for me, since it was my first major project. We worked day and night. Staying late at the agency became the norm. One evening, while Laura and I were working late, she told me something strange. "I think Mr. Thomas is keeping an eye on me." I looked at her, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I don't know. Just a feeling. He gives me weird looks, and sometimes I feel like he's watching my computer screen." I tried to reassure her it was probably just her imagination. Mr. Thomas was a good guy. I couldn't believe he'd do something like that. But the worry on her face was cleared. Over the next few days, Laura's unease grew. She kept asking me, "Have you noticed anything?" I honestly told her I hadn't. But then I started noticing things too, like how Mr. Thomas would often pass by our workspace unexpectedly when Laura was working, or how he'd ask her way too many questions, especially about her personal life. A week later, Laura didn't show up to work. We called her, but her phone was off. We all got worried. Mr. Thomas said she was probably sick, but there was a strange nervousness in his voice. The next day, Laura still didn't come in. I asked Sarah, "Did Laura tell you anything?" Sarah's face went pale. "No, I don't know anything." Ben stayed quiet, but I could see the concern on his face too. That evening, the police showed up at the agency. They told us Laura was missing. They questioned all of us. I told them everything Laura had said about Mr. Thomas watching her. They questioned him too. He seemed rattled and said he had no idea why Laura was missing. Days passed, and there was no sign of Laura. The police kept investigating, and we were all under intense stress. Going to work each day became unbearable. The atmosphere was so heavy it was hard to breathe. I started suspecting Mr. Thomas, but I had no proof. His behavior got strange. He became quieter, and there was an emptiness in his eyes. One day, while I was at my computer, I got an email. It was anonymous. It had a link and a single line. "Do you want to know the truth?" My hand started shaking. I clicked the link. It led to a folder with some photos and an audio file. The photos showed Laura, not at home, but in Mr. Thomas's office. He'd been secretly taking pictures of her. The audio file was Mr. Thomas's voice, talking about personal details about Laura, things he hadn't learned from her but from some other source. Hearing it made my blood boil. This was exactly what Laura had been afraid of. It was Mr. Thomas. I called the police right away and told them about the email. They took the folder's contents into evidence. A few hours later, Mr. Thomas was arrested. It turned out he was obsessed with Laura, to a terrifying degree. When she started suspecting him, she disappeared. But yet, police are still searching for her, but that moment is etched in my mind forever. Just thinking about it still gives me chills. The people we trust can hide such dangerous secrets. I also wonder who sent that anonymous email. Was it someone from the agency who knew about Mr. Thomas's behavior and was waiting for the right moment? That question still haunts me. And Laura? What happened to her? Will she ever come back? That question mark has become a part of my life.